So it's a bit of a crazy day here. I've got a lot to get done for work, but I still wanted to film a video. So I thought this would be a perfect occasion to make one of my quicker, easier meals. It's gonna be a TVP taco meat. I'm gonna try to make a cheese sauce with a can of butternut squash I bought and make it into like a grilled stuffed burrito or nachos. We'll see what the final product actually ends up being. But I also wanted to have a little bit more of a conversation with you, a little bit more casual. So let's go ahead and make some food. So the first thing you want to make is the TVP taco meat, and I'm starting out with 1.5 cups of water that I'm adding to a microwave safe bowl. And I'm just gonna heat this up for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So you just want the water to be hot enough to dissolve this better than bouillon seasoning. Normally I would use the beef flavor, but I only have the chicken here today, so that's what I'm gonna use. And I'm just using about a teaspoon or so. To this, I'm gonna be adding a packet of taco seasoning. Guess use your favorite one. I happen to like this one quite a bit, so it's the one we always use. Sure, it's high in sodium, but it tastes good in these quick, easy meals. Sometimes you just want a lot of flavor, a little bit of time. So mix that around. I'm also gonna add some ancho chili powder. That's my own special touch. Gonna add also just a dash of dark soy sauce. This helps with color and seasoning. And you need an equal part of TVP to water, so I'm adding 1.5 cups of TVP. TVP stands for textured vegetable protein. It's basically just dried up soy that rehydrates quite well, and it makes a great ground beef. So I'm just gonna mix this together. It needs to set for about 10 minutes to hydrate, and all the seasoning is there in the liquid, so it's gonna soak all that flavor up, and then we're just gonna saute it in a pan to finish the cooking. So this needs to set for about 10 minutes to absorb all of the liquid. It's gonna look a little bit like cocoa pebbles, which is exactly what you want. So we're gonna switch over and try to make a cheese sauce out of this butternut squash puree. Normally I would use a potato carrot mixture, but I don't feel like peeling or chopping potatoes or carrots or cooking them. So we're gonna experiment today and try to make it with this. So what I have laid out here are all of the ingredients I'm gonna be using to make this nacho cheese sauce. Again, it's kind of an experiment because I'm gonna use this organic butternut squash in a can that I've never used before, but as always, I'm gonna be using a modified version of Hot for Foods nacho cheese sauce. If you notice, there's a lot of ingredients here: nutritional yeast, tapioca flour. Those are things that traditionally people don't have on hand, but as you convert to veganism, you find that you start to convert your pantry and your whole house over to these ingredients. They become more regular in your house. So most people keep eggs and milk and things in their kitchen at all times. As a vegan, you keep nutritional yeast and tapioca flour in your kitchen at all times. So I'm gonna be using my phone here because that's where I keep recipes. My finger will work here. And you're gonna watch me throw it all together. So let's start out with the can of butternut squash. It's about 1.5 cups in this can. So I'm really trying to, oh, there we go. I was having some difficulties with this can opener. It seems I haven't found the best can opener to get. This one's from IKEA. Seemed to be better than the last one I had, but obviously I was still having some difficulties with it. So this looks like a fairly thin puree, so I'm gonna have to be careful of how much liquid I add in, but this is gonna be my carrot and potato substitute. Let's hope that it works. It looks like baby food now, but in just a bit, it should look like nacho cheese. I just want to get all of this out of here. Definitely more liquidy than I had expected. The recipe originally calls for about 1/2 cup of liquid total, 1/4 cup of oil, 1/4 cup of plant-based milk. I forgot to pick up almond milk or soy milk at the grocery store, so I'm gonna be adding water and just a few cashews. Another vegan ingredient we always seem to have on hand is cashews. So We have the about 1.5 cups of butternut squash puree. Bring up the recipe here again. So I need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Being really lazy again. I do have fresh lemons that I just got at the grocery store, but let's go ahead and use pre-made lemon juice. Two teaspoons of this. 6 pickled jalapeno slices, plus 3 tablespoons of the liquid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's more than 6, but it's fine. I like the heat. Oh, I needed the liquid. 3 tablespoons of the liquid. I definitely find the phone is probably the cookbook that I use the most. I'm always looking up recipes on my phone, screenshotting them just like this. This is a screenshot I go back to all the time because it's, in my opinion, a perfect recipe. Surprised I haven't committed it to memory fully yet. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. I actually found that roasted red peppers work better than tomato paste, so I'm gonna just be adding some roasted red pepper instead. That looks about right. One and a half teaspoons of cornstarch, or I'm going to be using tapioca starch. This is my starch of choice. And 1.5 teaspoons, which that's a half tablespoon. So I mistakenly pulled out the right one. So before I add the liquid, the last thing I'm going to add here are the seasonings. I need about 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Like I said, I'm a little bit worried about this being too liquidy because of the butternut squash. So I'm just gonna start out with 1/4 cup of liquid to begin with, and I'll see if I need more. I also have these cashews out, like I said, to make it a little bit more milky because I forgot to pick up almond milk at the store. And it's only maybe like a tablespoon and a half of, I always buy it already cracked, or what are they? The pieces. Why buy whole ones if they're gonna be making them into milk anyways? So the last thing I'm gonna add here is 1/4 cup of water, and we'll see if that's enough liquid to get this moving. So I'm starting this out on low. You can hear those cashews crunching up. Gradually bringing it up to high. And just let this go for 30 seconds or so. So I had this just about blended, and I realized I forgot the most important ingredient, which is the nutritional yeast. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that now. I think I need about 2 tablespoons, so I'm gonna throw that in. Noticing the consistency, it looks like I might need a little bit more liquid in here. The tapioca starch really thickens things up, so after I add the 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, I'm gonna add just a little bit more water as well. There we go. So I ended up putting in the end, half cup of liquid. Be careful if you do that. I accidentally had the blender on the high speed already, and that's made a mess inside. But let's give it a bit of a taste. It's really good. I'm impressed. Tastes just like the potato carrot sauce. So what I'm gonna do now is put this into a pot so we can heat it up, and my TVP is done now, so I'm gonna put that in a pan and get that browning up. All right, so let's get this into a pot so we can heat it up. Already it looks great. I'm happy that I used that canned puree, and noticing it doesn't taste really much different than potatoes and carrots, and knowing I didn't have to cut up any potatoes or carrots or cook them for 10 minutes and drain them. I'm very happy with this decision. So I'm just gonna set this to about medium low. My oven will turn on. And just keep an eye on it. The tapioca starch will thicken things up quite a bit. And while this goes through the TVP. So as you can see, the TVP has absorbed all that liquid. Looks just like cocoa pebbles. And normally I would do this, well, you could do it oil-free. I add just about a tablespoon or so of oil. It really does help it from not sticking, even though I am using a non-stick pan. So I'm gonna pour all of my TVP that's absorbed all the flavor from the taco seasoning into this bowl. And we're just gonna let it brown up. So you can see how much this actually looks like ground beef. And so I've got it on medium heat. I'm not really afraid to let it set for a while to get browned up, but I do need to keep an eye on my cheese sauce. I don't want this to brown on the bottom at all. So just stirring it, letting it warm slowly. And again, I'm still really impressed by the color. It's canned ingredients, didn't even have to cut up a single vegetable. Perfect for a busy day like today. So I don't really need to monitor this too much, so I'm gonna use this time to clean up a little bit and chat with you all. So I've been vegan now for a year and almost 3 months, and probably one of the best decisions I've made as an adult. I'm 37. The reason I initially went vegan is I went to the doctor and found out that my cholesterol was really high, that I had very high blood pressure. I weighed about the same amount that I do now, maybe 10 or so pounds more, but I just wasn't very healthy. So the doctor originally told me, oh, I was also pre-diabetic, forgot about that part. So the doctor told me that I needed to cut out sugars from my diet, that I needed to go low carb, and I did that, and my blood sugar went down, but what ended up happening was that my cholesterol went up and my blood pressure went up. So seemed like a good time to try veganism again. I had been vegetarian through college. I had gone vegan on and off a few times throughout my life, and this occasion for my health seemed like the right opportunity to try it again. So I did, and just like with most people that try it out at first, they find that it becomes really easy, becomes a really important part of their lives, and as they get kind of down the rabbit hole, especially as they go on YouTube, watching videos, you start to turn it from a diet, from initially doing it for your health, into ethical reasons. So that's where I am now. It's been, like I said, a year and a couple of months, and whereas initially was all about me, let me check my cheese sauce while I talk, where it was initially all about me, definitely now I think more about the environmental concerns, the ethical concerns, and it's the big three. It's the planet, it's the animals, it's myself, and definitely all three of those reasons are important to me, and it's what keeps me vegan a year and some months later. So actually, after being vegan for about 3 months, I went back and got blood work done again at the doctor, and my cholesterol had gone down considerably. Every time I go into the doctor and they did my blood pressure, they would always comment, "Do you always have high blood pressure?" And I'd say, "I don't think so," but it happened perpetually every time I went to the doctor. Now, whenever I go there, get my blood work done, they just take the blood pressure and don't say anything afterwards. So I always have to ask, like, is it okay? Is my blood pressure good? Just because I was so used to hearing that it was high or that I needed to be worried about it. So I'm not saying that my story is going to be the same for everybody that gives up animal products in their life. Everybody's going to be different, but definitely for me, it was 3 months of just cutting out dairy, eggs, meat, and it changed my health. So it's definitely possible that it can happen to you as well. So I've got the cheese sauce down quite low now. Actually, probably going to turn it off. If you want to see here, it's quite creamy. Got more of a mustard color than I'm used to, but it's probably just from the butternut squash. This is still on medium here and still browning it up. There is one more thing that I want to make for this recipe, and that is a cream sauce, a cilantro cream sauce. I've been soaking some cashews, and I'm basically just going to use those cashews, a little bit of lemon juice, cilantro, a little bit of salt, and that's just to go over the top of everything here. So if you look at this meal, you notice it's not super healthy. I mean, if you break down that cheese sauce, it's mostly butternut squash. This sauce that I'm making here is cashews and cilantro. I'm not one of those vegans that focuses solely just on weight loss or trying to eat super clean foods. Making the change of getting the animal products out of my life has made a significant impact on my health. And I still love to eat food. I still love to eat very tasty things that might not be super healthy for me. There's not just one way to go vegan. You can be simply an ethical vegan and eat Oreos and eat things that are super unhealthy. Or you can be one of those vegans that cuts oil entirely out of their life and is completely in it for the health. I like to think that I found some sort of balance in between that. I don't use a ton of oil in my cooking. As you can see, I cut most of the oil or all the oil out of the cheese sauce. I added just a little bit of oil to help brown the meat, but I follow my taste buds. I try to think about the foods that I've loved and make those just without any animal products, and that seems to work for me. So let's go ahead and make this sauce. So this magic bullet here, this one's pretty old and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're gonna hope that it works today. This is one of my favorite ways to blend things that don't really need too much power. It's quick and easy, and what you make can stay in the canister that you made it in. So I have a ½ cup of cashews here that I started soaking a couple of hours ago, and I'm just gonna drain those off. Not very gracefully. I could have used the colander for this, but this seemed faster and easier. So, ½ cup of cashews that have been soaked. And I'm going to use probably just about the same amount of water. Maybe a little bit more than ½ cup. Not really measuring anything here, but probably about 2 teaspoons or so of lemon juice. As I said earlier, I do have fresh lemons, but for some reason I just felt like using this. Cilantro, it's actually a pretty small bundle today, but I'm just gonna use kind of a small handful. I've rinsed it, stem and all. See if that gets me to where I want. Put this lid on, shake it up a bit, and let it go. I'm gonna check my taco meat while this happens. So this got a little bit of brown on it. This is pretty much done. It's not like it needs to cook or anything. I just like it to get a little bit of color, and by cooking it, it takes a little bit of the moisture out, concentrates the flavor. Some people don't like TVP, they have a problem with it. I've read the ingredients over. It seems like a fairly decent product, so I continue to use it, and I actually prefer it to the store-bought beef crumbles that you can buy. So I'm gonna turn this off, it's done, and finish off this sauce. So it's a little bit runny. I'm gonna actually add a bit more cashews to that. So let's add about that many cashews. Doesn't matter if they're soaked or not. Soaking really helps them to blend down easier, but I'm not really gonna worry about it. All right, so this has ran for another minute or so. I can already tell that it's gonna be much thicker. We want sort of a sour cream type of consistency. I'm gonna give it a taste. I forgot salt. I need salt, and I'm gonna add just a bit more lemon juice to it as well. The lid back on. Send it for another spin. Now, I know I said that you can save it in this container. That's one of the brilliant things about the Magic Bullet, but I actually prefer these type of bottles for presentation purposes. See if I can do this without a funnel. Not bad. Looks like we still have some chunky cashews. Let's pray that that doesn't affect us when we're trying to serve it. All right, so I have my meat cooked. I have my cheese warmed up. I have my finishing sauce all done. Let's go ahead and assemble some burritos that we can grill. So what I have here is a tortilla, one of my favorite ones from Trader Joe's. I microwaved it for about 15 seconds just to soften it up. I'm adding a fairly generous amount here of my TVP taco meat. As you can see, it looks just like ground beef. Adding a nice scoop of my butternut squash cheese sauce. Secret ingredient here that's perfect for texture. If you hear some barking, that's just my dogs outside. They've been scamping around the kitchen this whole time. It's very difficult to film a video with two adorable dogs in the house, especially those that love food and hover around the kitchen whenever you cook. So I have a nice layer of chips in there, adding some romaine lettuce, some fresh chopped onion that I chopped off camera. If you want to see me chop onion, you can pretty much look at any other video that I've done. Drizzle of my cilantro cream sauce. And finally, for verisimilitude, some Taco Bell sauce. Let's try to roll this up without making too big of a mess. Be careful of those chips, they might want to puncture through the tortilla. And there we go, ready for the grill. So I've assembled 2 of these burritos and I have a cast iron skillet here set to medium. And let's go ahead and grill these. The grilling is what really sells the Taco Bell thing, other than, of course, the fire sauce. But get the nice grill mark on all sides, toast it up, it's so good. So these are grilling up here. They're almost ready to be flipped over, but as you can see, these are my little friends that are my kitchen helpers. This is Odie, this is Tuffy. They seem to always be at my feet while I'm in the kitchen. Hi guys, hi. And let's see if these are ready to flip. Just another minute or so. All right, these are ready to flip. Look at that. Beautiful golden brown. It also helps to seal them up, and we'll just let them brown up on the other side. All right, so these are done. Nice and browned on 2 sides. There you go. I'm gonna go ahead and slice one open so you can see the cross section. Look at that, the meat, the cheese, the onion, really nice and saucy, the fresh lettuce in there. Looks delicious. So even though the food is done, there's still one more step we have to go through in order to eat this. And we're both starving. We need to take this into my well-lit office to get some glamour shots for Instagram and for the video, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm trying to set this up to get a nice photo. Usually take the thumbnail shot as well as my Instagram pictures right here. I like to do a couple top down photos. Trying to exclude most of the background. How about a shot of me like drizzling the sauce over the top? Think that would be good? Yeah. Let's try to add some glamour to this glamour shot with a nice drizzle of sauce over the top. And as you can see, this is the point where my sauce decided the nuts are going to stick it and not allow the sauce to come out of the hole. So that's about as glamorous as we can get with this. All right, so it's time for the taste test. If you notice a change in audio, we've switched from this microphone to that microphone so that I can bring Ben out from behind the camera to try this out. Now, Ben has filmed and edited all these videos, so if you like the way they've looked, it's all because of him. And he's also the one that needs to approve all of these recipes, because if he doesn't like it, I don't make it again. So let's get you out here, Ben, and try this grilled wrap.
Hey everybody.
This is post glamour shot.
Yeah, we already did all that.
I'll try it with you.
Okay.
First impressions, this is also because he hasn't ever tried this sauce that was a experiment today.
Yeah, I've had like this Taco Bell Crunchwrap-y kind of thing before.
But just not with this cheese sauce.
Yeah.
All right. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about it?
The chips are definitely like necessary. It keeps it from being like overly mushy because the TVP, so that crunch is good. Same thing with like the onions and the lettuce. It's just like breaks it up a little bit, makes it taste fresh. I can't tell any difference with this cheese sauce versus like the normal one you make.
Right, and all the flavors really blend together, so it's just like one really delicious, I hate to say it, Taco Bell bite. Fire sauce adds the nice heat. The onions also are in there for a nice crunch and texture variation. If this were just to be TVP and cheese sauce, it would just be completely mush and I think be lost. So it's a success. Did I win?
Yeah, it's really good.
Cool. As I was saying earlier that I didn't know if I was gonna make this or make nachos. All you need to do is spread chips out on a plate, sprinkle the TVP, cover it with cheese sauce, and then the cilantro cream sauce. Oh, and the onion. And you have nachos. So everything that we made in here today could easily be turned into that as well, which I'll probably do anyways.
I'm gonna get behind the camera again.
All right. Well, I hope you liked today's video, a more casual approach, showing me on a busy day, trying to make dinner, but also experimenting and trying to make a video. Everything was all happening at once while dogs were nipping at my heels, as cute as they are. So if you did like this video and you like this style, definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, watch all of my other videos, and comment below. Probably gonna see more of the previous style, but if you like this more casual, handheld approach, definitely say so down below. So check out my other videos, subscribe. I already said that, but I'm saying it again. And I will see you next Monday. Have a great day.